Hey everybody, Scoutcrafter here again. You heard me say the other day that this was one of my favorite videos that I did, and I think you'll see why, because this represents everything here as a channel that we strive to do. You know, take an old tool that nobody would even look at again, refurbish it, repair it, and make it better than new, in my opinion. So let's go check it out. I hope you enjoy it. Okay, for this tool, this is a diamond, you can see here, Diamond Cork Horseshoe Company. And they were out of Duluth, Minnesota. And you can see this is a 12-inch adjustable. And look at the shape it's in. You can see here. Look at the rust and the overall condition. But the worst part about this wrench is it's missing the pin. See, here's the thumb wheel. It's missing a spring, I guess, too. And here's the jaw. The jaw looks in good shape, but it's missing that pin. Now, the problem is, you could look at the threading here. See that? That's an unusual thread. I think it might be 1/4 by 32 or so. It's really an unusual thread count. It's made specifically for their wrenches. So how do you fix something like this? I paid $1 for this wrench. Probably overpaid, but $1. So I want to fix it with as little cost as possible. So what I'm going to try and do, matching that thread, I can't even get a die for that thread. So I'm going to try and make a pin for this, which is what's missing. And we're going to do it a different way. So let's see how we can do that. First, I'm going to throw this in a vinegar bath for a little while. 1908, Otto Schwanstom founded the Diamond Horseshoe Cork Company. And then after that, he started making wrenches because horses were going out, cars were coming in, and he was doing great with wrenches. He had over 150 employees. By the 1930s, he invented Dymalloy. Okay, here we are after a 36-hour vinegar bath, and you could see now, if your tools don't come out looking like this out of the vinegar bath, there's a reason. Every 8 hours or so when I do a vinegar bath, I take them small hand wire brushes and I just wire brush over it and then put it back in the vinegar, and I keep doing that. Now, vinegar a lot of times will tend to turn some steels black, like it did this. This turned totally black. But, you know, you hit the wire brush with a little bit of water, and then obviously you neutralize it with baking soda. So this is where we're at now. If you notice over here, pretty interesting, this little spot was a glob of paint that lasted all the way through, and you can see the difference in the steel there, but that'll match in when we wire brush it. But you can see how nice it looks. This is a nice wrench, obviously, right? But there was a lot of gunk and grease and everything built up in here. I had to use the tool and get in here and take all that grease and dried up dirt out of there. And the same thing with here and here. And now we're going to take it to the wire brush. Okay, here we are at a post-wire brush evaluation. You can see how nicely everything came out here. And it's just, you can see the little spot. It's going to be tough to get out, but we're working on it. But look at that, huh? This looks like it does out of the factory. You know, this is the same kind of luster you have from the tools when they come out of the factory. Now, important to do is, before you do anything else, you want to make sure this slides easy. So you know that you're going to have a smooth operating wrench. The jaws look really good. The knurling and everything on here is just beautiful. Cleaned the inside out with a Dremel and some wire brushes. But now we got to make the pin. And to make the pin, normally it's a pin with a thread at the end, and it passes through here and threads into there. Like I told you, that's an unusual thread in there. So we're going to forget about that, and we're going to try and tap this end and make our own pin like they do with some of the other style wrenches, using a 5/16 inch bolt and one of Jeff's USA taps. It's a taper tap. Let's try it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to try and drill this hole out, and it has to be straight with this bottom hole here, because remember, the pin goes straight through. So I'm taking these centering punches. You know, these are the ones that have a little dimple at the end, that if you have a hole, you could find the center. And what I do, I have one chucked up into the drill press, the chuck, and I'm going to put one that fits in here nice and snug. And you could see it's off. You know, it's tilting this way. So now what you do is you bring it close, and then what we're going to do is we have a vise loose enough that we can move the wrench a little bit, and we're going to get this perfectly parallel with the other one. Once it's parallel with the other one, and let me give you a better view. It's better when you could see the back of the drill press. Okay, here we go. Now, it's always going to look a little different through the camera because of the angle of the camera, but this is exactly parallel to the eye. Again, that'll bring us straight down, and this way, now we tighten up the drill press, and when we drill into this hole, it should be straight. Now, if it's set up right, this should pass right through the top and into the bottom hole. And that's just what it does. That's set up perfectly straight. So now we could drill it out. Okay, this ingenious device is called a tap guide, and all it is a spring, a piston with a little point at the end. And how this works is you put this in the chuck of either the drill or the mill or whatever you're using, and you give it a snug down. Now, the top of your tap wrench has a little countersink in there, and when you match this up here like this and put a little pressure on it, you could lock the quill like I'm going to do here. I'm locking the quill. Now, as you feed the tap into the work, you can see what happens. You don't have to worry about it going in crooked. It'll go in perfectly straight. Beautiful little invention. Okay, here's the setup we have using that. Remember the clamp down? We clamped our vise down to the table. It's solid. Now we know that the drill goes right over that hole, and we have a tap follower that I showed before, and that little tap follower is the spring-loaded piston is holding into the top of this tap wrench, and that'll allow us to go straight into that hole. Okay, now you can see using Jeff's beautiful USA-made tap, you could see how nicely we went through that hardened material, and look how it lines up with that hole in the back there. You see that? And it lines up just perfect, so the pin will line up. So now all we have to do is make a pin that's threaded on one. Okay, now I ask you, is that not a thing of beauty, a nicely cut thread? Now here's the 5/16 bolt that we're going to use for tomorrow when we're going to go to bed in a little while, but you could see how that goes right. I made the thread pretty tight so that it doesn't have any wobble in it, but you can see how nice and straight that'll be. And what we'll do is we'll turn this end down with the lathe, and you see that? It's just beautiful. Okay, see you. Okay, next up we cut the head off of the bolt here. So now we have basically we have nothing more than about a 2.5-inch piece of threaded rod, and now we have to grind it down somehow. Reduce the diameter so that it fits here and becomes a pin. So what we're going to use to find out what size is, we're going to use something called a pin gauge set. And these are pretty cool. What a pin gauge set is this one goes from 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch. And you could see how many in between. So again, this is based on breaking an inch down to 1,000. So what we're going to do is basically what you would do is you would pick one here, place it into the hole, and you see we have just a little bit of a slop, but that's a nice fit. And we'll keep moving up until we get to the pin that we're going to want to, and then we'll look at the size and see how that is. So you can see it's getting, remember they're going up 1/1000th of an inch, so this one here just don't fit. So this one here does, it fits nice. It's a slip fit. Beautiful, right? It's 260 thousandths. So that's what we're going to have to turn that little bolt, the threaded rod, in down to. Okay, here's the pin all finished up, and I couldn't take it down any further because this is the exact dimensions to get it to ride nice. You can see here, watch how nice that spins on there. You know, it's a very, so those lines that you see there, that'll be, oil will just sit in there, help lubricate it. Getting this centered was a little bit harder than it looks, with a hacksaw, but I put the little slot in here, and now how that'll work is this will fit into here. And when it screws in like this screwdriver fits just perfect in here. And when it screws in, you'll see that it locks down against the back, and here we go. That locks in tight, and that's a solid, and it's as smooth as silk. So now we have to start working on the wrench. We didn't even start working on the wrench yet. Now, after a lot of grinding, and we did a little bit of buffing, but you know my favorite part. Remember what this wrench looked like before we started. Okay, we are calling this project done, and boy, this did come out nice, huh? Put a little embellishment in the red and the diamonds, both there and with a diamond. I think that really sets it off nice, but the polish on here took everything down, and everything's just buttery smooth, you know. And check this out. I mean, this is just so smooth. It's like it was running on a bearing. Just so smooth. And the polish came out real nice. The you know, it's a good steel. I'll tell you one thing, Dimaloy really used a hard steel. This was not easy to get down, but it does make for a good wrench. You could hear it when you drop it. You could hear the sound that it makes. It's such a solid. And you could see, you know, the screw is embedded in there, and it came out really what a nice fix. So the only thing left to do is to try this out. Really a lovely wrench, isn't it? Let's try it. Okay, here we are at the Colombian, and again, how smooth this is. Put it on, tighten it up, and see how this engages. Look at that. Isn't that satisfying? Just how that locks up on there, and just such a smooth. This is the 12-inch model, so you can see it's a large wrench, and it just works perfect, you know. Just a lovely wrench. I love these Dimaloys. They're one of my favorites. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the restoration. Thanks so much for staying with me. Take care now. I hope you have a nice day. Take care. Bye-bye.